will get notified if you're not a person who greets people. It's considered rude. I learned that in the beginning.
And I'll say it inspired me to eat less processed food here. That was one of the big benefits of me living abroad for sure. So I still do eat meat. I haven't made it to where Joe is yet. I'm kind of following the plant-based minus the meat part.
Right. But you feel healthier, right? You feel better. You're not as heavy, lethargic.
No, I'm not.
Right? Fresh fruits and vegetables, guys. For sure. Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joannis or Joe Hatago. I'm a Sierra Leonean American living in West Africa. I'm in the US right now. I'm in New Jersey and I'm here with
Chazeen. Hey guys, nice to meet you.
And so Chazeen is a good friend of mine. If you guys didn't see the other two videos we did about the things we loved about living abroad, definitely go check them out. But today we're going to talk about the differences and similarities between living in Ghana and Barbados as culturally Americans who are from outside of the United States in terms of being first generation Americans. All right, so with that, let's get right into it. So before we get into the content today, for those of you who don't know, let's introduce you to Chazeen. So Chazeen, can you give us a little bit about who you are and what your channel is about?
Yeah, so I'm a TV producer, pretty much sharing my life and the tips and the hacks that I pick up along the way. So that's everything for my new influencers, tips for you guys, travel tips, and then everything from beauty to home design. So definitely make sure you subscribe to my channel because you want to, these are good hacks, game-changing hacks.
Nice. And you mentioned travel, so you did live in Barbados for how long?
4 months.
Her 4 months in Barbados, my almost 2 years in Ghana. We're gonna give you our experiences, so let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. So first thing is WhatsApp. I would say it's a very big difference from me living here in the States versus using it abroad. You know, we talked about this, but people using it for business is is a really big use case.
I was blown away.
Yeah.
It's just a chat for us in groups.
Yeah, I mean, group chats, yes,
Yeah.
group chats. And, you know, because you and I communicate through WhatsApp because I live in Ghana and she was living in Barbados for a while and even being here in the States. But I actually just got a message from someone the other day who was looking to work with my former employer. And he sent me a message on WhatsApp, not like an email, but just a regular message. But he definitely said, you know, I'm looking to do some business with Jumia. Who do I need to contact? Or can you send me? He asked me, can I send him a rate card? So it was like that forward and that straightforward. I don't know how I got my contact information, but it was on WhatsApp. And usually that goes through an email, right? But he sent me a message directly. So yeah, that was an unexpected use case for WhatsApp once I started spending more time on the content. What about you? You've noticed that too.
Yeah, so I'd say it's similar. That's something I actually didn't realize until I got back and someone told me to message someone in the government. And I was like, what? On WhatsApp? Should I send them an email? They were like, no, WhatsApp is actually used, like you could pretty much write it out like an email. So you said your person didn't write it out like that? They said, yeah, write it out like an email and WhatsApp them. And like in the US, that's a little intrusive because it's pretty much you're text messaging someone to their personal phone number.
Right.
Like we would never do that. And so I was just like so taken aback and I was like, I need you to break this down a bit more for me. Because once again, I said like the office that this person was in, I didn't want to be offensive, basically.
Right.
So it is similar in that sense.
Yeah, and I guess it makes sense, right? Because culturally, at least from what I've seen in West Africa, people are willing to just call people more than like message them, even in a social environment. So I guess for business, you just call. Like you pick up and call and don't send an email. You show up at people's offices. Like when I was—
You're saying there or here?
In Ghana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like they would just show up at offices and like in the US, when you work in sales, you'll go to someone's office and you're pitching them, but you'll bring like, I don't know, cupcakes or cookies or something like that.
If you're just showing up or you have an appointment.
Right.
Yeah, you don't come without an appointment.
Oh, in Ghana, they just show up. I definitely had 3 or 4 occasions the last couple of months when I was still working at Jumia where people would come to the office, let the front desk receptionist know that someone's there to see me. I have no idea who it is until I come down and I'm like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And so I think if people are, it seems more intrusive based on our business practices, but if that's what they do there, then it makes sense that on WhatsApp, somebody would send a message.
The only other case I've heard of people doing that is back in the day when people used to want a record deal and they would just show up. You can't do that don't work. Or an internship. Yeah. You just show up and you're like, yeah, I'm here. And like that used to work, but like not really. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
WhatsApp, another difference is like the fact that people update their statuses, like the Instagram stories update.
Oh yeah.
I don't do that, do you?
I do
haven't adapted,
sometimes. I do sometimes. I mean, I usually do it if I'm promoting something on Instagram. I also put it on WhatsApp because I just downloaded the video from Instagram and then put it on WhatsApp. But because they don't have a music feature, I know people who go through a whole process of recording a video with music in the background and then upload it to the Instagram. To the WhatsApp status. So if you see somebody's WhatsApp status with music in the background, there's a process to do that. Yeah, and people do it.
I'll say this, I have noticed with the folks, because of course it's folks overseas that I'm noticing doing it, or folks who are constantly interacting with people overseas,
right?
They kind of get into the habit. But it's almost as if they post more on their WhatsApp status than they do on Instagram.
Yep.
The crazy part for me in Barbados, some of the people I knew, I often said to them, like, you live some of the most interesting lives, all of y'all. But on Instagram, it don't look like that at all. And then I found out when I got back, I started checking statuses. I don't know what prompted that. These people be posting on their statuses.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, it takes more priority or precedence or whatever over Instagram.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe it's because it's the communication platform. You're always on it already to communicate with people. So maybe they just do that. But yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. And I started noticing it when I started going to Sierra Leone more often. I don't know when I discovered the status tab on WhatsApp, but once I discovered it, there's definitely once a day I go through and kind of watch everybody.
I still have it. Mental notes, y'all. Look, if you want to learn about the place you're about to live in, start with the statuses. I'm sure you can pick up like some tips and tricks through that too.
Yeah, absolutely. If you know anybody there and you have the numbers. All right, so if you guys found that helpful, let us know in the comments below. If you didn't know, now you know.
Yes.
All right, cool. So the next one is greetings. In Ghana, one of the things that's really important is to greet people.
Okay.
You will get notified if you're not a person who greets people. It's considered rude. I learned that in the beginning.
Did you not greet people?
No, coming from New York, I was just like, I didn't really greet people.
I thought you would have known this already, like being a son of an immigrant.
But Ghana is a little different from Sierra Leone.
Okay.
You know, in Sierra Leone, you are supposed to greet people, but mostly it's like if you enter a room or if your elders come in, you know, but like in Ghana, like you greet people like walking across people on the street. Like if you see somebody across the street, good afternoon, somebody will say to you, like if you make eye contact. You know, in New York, when you're walking down the street, you make eye contact, you keep it moving.
Yeah.
You know, unless it's like a place where there's somebody of color and there's very few of you kind of do the head nod, right? Like,
in Ghana?
No,
oh,
here,
yes.
But very rarely did I make eye contact with people and say like, hey, good afternoon, whatever. But in Ghana, like walking on the street, you do that. Or
you
like walking into a restaurant, anybody who works in the staff, you say hello to.
I'm sorry. The only reason why I know is because my father has a story of when he came here.
Okay.
Now he would greet everyone on the street and how people just would not respond. And he was like a little hurt, I guess. Forgive me, Father, if that's not, you weren't hurt, but he felt away.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'll always remember that. And then I think I heard that as a child. So I remember that going back to the Caribbean. My parents are from St. Kitts and Nevis, and I would greet people.
Yeah.
So they would greet me.
Yeah, it was definitely a new thing for me. I mentioned this on another video, but now I do it even here in the States, and it's just different. I feel like I'm more polite now.
Yeah. Okay. So I'd say it's similar in Barbados, for sure. People greet you. And definitely check out that other video because we go into a whole long thing about it. But good morning, good afternoon. People ask, how are you?
Yes.
You were saying when people ask, how are you, they actually mean it. They stay and they wait for an answer.
Yeah.
I noticed in Barbados, I feel like the further we get from Africa and we get closer to Western culture, they might ask how you are, but I think it's more like whether or not they care depends on more of your relationship with them or the person. But I think it's customary to ask and, you know, at least not keep walking like the US.
Stick around and listen to the response. Yeah. All right, so that's greetings. If you guys found that helpful, give us a thumbs up. Let us know. All right, so the next one is plugs. I found this to be useful and helpful in a number of different ways. Number one, in Ghana, they use the same plugs that they use in England. And it feels like England and Ghana are the only ones who use, or England and West Africa are the only ones who use these kinds of plugs. You know, it's like a 3-pronged plug, but it's not like the US-based one. Is that how it is in Barbados?
No.
It's a different one.
No, I thought about that for a split second when I was heading there, and then totally forgot, and thank the Lord, like didn't need any converters. So they use the same exact plugs as we do here in the US. Super convenient, y'all.
Yeah, not the same for us. Not the same
So you have like adapters?
Yeah, so I bought a bunch of adapters. So like I buy the adapters for like a phone cord that just sticks into the wall, and it's kind of shaped like this. You guys know what I mean. I'll put a video over top of it to show you. And then you have I have like a giant adapter that has adapters for all the different kinds of plugs that go in the wall. So like when I go to other parts of Europe, because other parts of Europe have the 2 prongs, and I'm gonna go to Cologne later this year. I go to other parts of Europe, and when you're in other places, you have to have other plugs. So I have the US, the UK, and other parts of Europe. But yeah, that's what you just have to realize when you go internationally, except for, I guess,
Barbados. But you know what I will say? I feel like back in the day, like that was something I used to have to think about when traveling. I haven't had to lately, especially if you're staying at a hotel, which I wasn't for Barbados, but I was in Airbnb. So it's thinking tourist for it first, right?
Yeah.
Although Barbados does not need an adapter, for plugs, I still think it's something we don't have to think about as much. But if you're going to live somewhere, you definitely want to dive deep into that and figure it out.
Yeah, and then what ends up happening is you end up buying something locally, and then when you go to leave the country, you can't use it there. So
that's a good tip. Remember that?
Oh yeah, buy an adapter. Just buy an adapter.
That multi-adapter that you have.
Yeah, the multi, and I would love to show you, and I'll show you later. But yeah, just buy the multi-purpose adapter is what I would definitely recommend, and buy multiple so you can always plug in no matter where you are. What do you guys think about that? Like, is that something you even thought about? Did you think that you'd have to buy an adapter? Is that something, did you know that in Barbados you didn't need one?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So let us know in the comments below if you knew about that before. All right, cool. So the next is groceries. So groceries in West Africa, at least in my experience, are much more fresh than when I experience them here. And what I find is if it's out of season, you can't find it.
That's how you know you can trust it, though. I just learned that recently.
Yeah, because like here, right, you can get any, like if you're in New York, you can get any fruit or vegetable that you want, even if it's out of season, because they'll ship it from wherever it is and bring it to where you are.
Which probably means more stuff injected into it or whatever. Right?
Yeah, maybe to make it last longer or what they'll do is they'll make it in a lab somewhere closer.
Oh my gosh.
So ideally, there you get, obviously it's directly from the ground and it's more fresh, right? Because they don't refrigerate the groceries, at least not in Ghana and in Sierra Leone. Some places they do, but it costs more. You can just buy them on the street. And when you buy it, it's like it just came out of the tree or the ground from which it was pulled. So that to me is a much fresher experience and you feel better eating those fruits and vegetables.
That's sure. So I had a similar experience. You can definitely get your grocery. I mean, same thing. Everything comes straight from the tree or whatever plant, etc. It goes to the restaurant. Usually, my understanding. You can also go to the grocery, but it's still, the processing is not the same as the US at all. And as a result, there's a video of mine. I'll have Joe link it below. I lost a lot of weight. I was working out, but I was eating a ton, and I made a whole video about it. So we'll link that below. You can check it out on my channel. But that happened, I think, because I had better quality food. So yeah, same here. When I say I was eating a lot, y'all, I mean I had my regular 3-4 meals a day, mostly healthy food, but I probably went out to eat maybe 3 times a week. And that includes cocktails and desserts. And I didn't skip on the food, y'all. I ate the whole thing. I didn't eat half and throw it away. I don't do that. So to do that every week for 4 months, y'all, when that's not the practice here, and then lose weight. My waist is the smallest it's ever been, y'all. Has to be something going on.
Yeah, it's the food. It's the food. That's it.
I'm curious though, has that ever happened to you guys? Because I got some comments on my page, like people have gone to other countries and lost weight. Let us know in the comments. And which country?
I just saw it. Was it? No, it wasn't even. It was somebody else's video. Well, I lost weight too, but I'm also vegan, so I've been losing weight.
And I'll say it inspired me to eat less processed food here. That was one of the big benefits of me living abroad for sure. So I still do eat meat. I haven't made it to where Joe is yet, but definitely, I'm kind of following the plant-based minus the meat part.
Right. But you feel healthier, right? You feel better. You're not as heavy, lethargic.
Oh, I'm not.
Right? Fresh fruits and vegetables, guys, for sure. All right, guys, so if you found that useful, make sure you hit that thumbs up so we know that you found it useful. Hopefully that was helpful. It's helpful for me before I went, so hopefully it's helpful for you. Yes. All right, so the next is business ownership and the lack of Ghanaian-owned major businesses.
In a black country?
In a black country. Yes. So we're talking about the malls, we're talking about the major restaurants. Now, I will say this about Ghana versus Sierra Leone. In Ghana, I see more of it. They do have more Ghanaian-owned businesses. Like there's KFC franchise in Ghana, for instance, that are Ghanaian owned, right? They came in and franchised it. So that was great to see. But like all the major malls are owned by either the Lebanese or the Chinese or Indian. And that's very similar to Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is even worse, where most of the major businesses, the restaurants, the hotels, and the grocery stores are all owned by Lebanese. And now, of course, the casinos in Sierra Leone are owned by the Chinese.
I actually thought you'd say the opposite, that there would be less representation in Ghana, being that it's a little more advanced, it seems.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I think the way it works, I think the way it is that in Ghana, what you have is you have a wider variety of types of businesses. So like the local businesses with local food will definitely have Ghanaian ownership. But when you're talking about the major businesses, the mega businesses, so like any business that you see that's in a high rise or it's like a giant mall, those are usually owned by and operated by Lebanese, Chinese, or Indian folks.
Yep.
Yeah, and they don't always employ local folks except for on the ground level roles, right? The entry level roles. So I don't know what it is like in Barbados, but
what do you think it is? I'm curious.
Well, because you mentioned that there's a lot of tourism there, I would imagine it's probably like Western owned, like white owned in a lot of cases. Yeah. Okay.
So I observed a lot of that. Let me start with the restaurant. So first off, when I got there, I was asking people for, recommendations for restaurants.
Yeah.
I got so many recommendations for food that was not Asian. And I couldn't understand why people were giving me food suggestions that I could obviously get in the US, in New York at that. New York has everything. And I'm like, I don't want that. I want Bayesian food. Right. Towards the end of my 4-month stay, I started discovering Bayesian food where it was. Some of those high top tier restaurants have Bayesian food or Bayesian inspired food or are black owned. But really, if you want to get them, it's like the little mom and pop shops. And some of those mom and pop shops are like out of someone's house, etc. Like you can't Google them. Like you have to go out and seek them. Yeah. So I say all that to say that's a representation of what I observed on the island. A lot of the major businesses are not black owned. Many of them. I can't go as far as to say the percentage. I'm unsure, but many of them are not. And it's a bit disheartening, honestly.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I mean, it was the same thing in Ghana, the same thing in Sierra Leone. I think what you have in Sierra Leone is when you go to a hotel restaurant or you go to a bar, because they're not Sierra Leonean owned, they have like Mediterranean style food. So, or they'll have European style food. So like, I remember going to a place where they had arrabbiata, which is like Italian. It's an Italian like, I don't know, noodles dish, whatever, pasta dish. It's vegan friendly generally. And I noticed that this place did not serve like other Sierra Leonean food except jollof rice. It seems, in Ghana and in Sierra Leone, some of these restaurants, the high-end restaurants, if they're gonna serve local cuisine, it's just a jollof rice. So that's it.
Wow.
That's it. There's always like vegetable spring rolls and all these other things. There's a lot of like Lebanese bread and hummus that's served in a lot of places, especially in Sierra Leone, because the Lebanese are a very big community in Sierra Leone and own a lot of businesses there. So yeah.
Maybe we have a similarity because I did realize there were these token dishes that would be served. It's almost like you have to serve them in most restaurants. Right. So it would be fish cakes. Okay. Rum punch, you have to have rum punch. Like it's like, how do you not have rum punch? What else? Those are like signature. Flying fish is the national fish or dish.
Flying fish.
Flying fish and cuckoo. They didn't always have cuckoo, but there'll be some fish options for sure. Or flying fish or some rendition of that. And like, I feel like I'm missing something else. But you can almost always get fish cakes somewhere. And rum punch, that's for sure. That was like a thing that everyone had, which was interesting.
Is rum punch, that's not just a
Bayesian thing? No, it's a West Indian overall, yeah. A lot of people, I don't know where it originates, but most of the islands serve rum punch.
Yeah, I do remember rum punch from my days going to barbecues and stuff in the Prospect Park.
Yeah, right?
In Brooklyn. Anywhere in Brooklyn, you get that rum punch.
That rum punch.
Yeah.
But it's made differently everywhere. While you were talking, I thought about something. The problem isn't that there's a variety of food on the island or in the country. I think the problem is not honoring the culture or even having like some Bayesian options, some Ghanaian options in the restaurant, like to completely dismiss it. Because I've realized now, I'm sure people on the island, and actually I'm calling someone saying this, actually appreciated being exposed to new food.
Sure.
but it shouldn't be this hunt to find food of the culture. Right. And then of course it should be employing as well locals and other people also. I mean, some people kind of like snub their nose and look down to Black locals. My experience, yours as well.
Yeah, I've seen it definitely. I mean, I would say this. What I noticed is like if you're going to the mall or any high-end restaurant, the managers are always of another descent, right? So they're not of African descent.
Yeah.
So it is like the service level workers, like in a restaurant, you'll have the waiters and waitresses. Some people like that will be Ghanaian, but like the managers are, and in Sierra Leone is the same thing. But what I noticed, like the mall is like it'll be like the business will be owned by Lebanese. They'll have a Indian manager. And then all the service level, line level workers are Ghanaian.
I'll see Black managers there. I can't say like majority of the people aren't, but like the owners usually are not. And you have to remember too, like once again, there's a larger population of white people there who are Bayesians. You have to remember also there's a larger population there of European people who are now Bayesian because they came as indentured servants, which I mentioned in the other video that we did together. It'll be linked below, you guys have to check it out. But in Barbados, actually before they brought the African slaves over, they brought over indentured slaves from, I believe, Ireland and other parts of Europe. And so they stayed there, whereas most people were shipped back. It's kind of comparable to Trinidad, how in Guyana, there's a big population of Indian people.
Right.
Kind of think of it like that when it comes to the Euro representation there, local Euros. Okay, I'll say this, it's really good. I am seeing a lot of encouragement of building Black brands, and I know like with the huge population of Black expats in Barbados, I'm on a chat with like I think 500 people, they encourage each other and are often sharing Black-owned businesses. Right. So they're pouring back into the businesses there.
If that's something that's important to you, you can find it. I don't want to just make it seem like there aren't any Ghanaian-owned businesses in Ghana.
Same.
Or Sierra Leonean-owned businesses in Sierra Leone. I'm just saying the large majority of the mega businesses, the really big ones, are not owned by the locals. So, but if you want to find local-owned businesses, you definitely can. Just be intentional about it, for sure.
I'm glad you clarified so nobody comes for us in the comments.
Please.
All right, so the next one
is Wi-Fi, but to catch that, you have to head over to Chazeen's channel where we're going to talk about the rest of the differences. All right, so click on this video here and it'll take you to Chazeen's channel where we're going to do part 2 of this video on the differences between Barbados and Ghana and the US. All right, guys, see you there. All right, so make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this and hit that notification bell. Remember, when you hit the notification bell, hit all so you're notified every time a new video comes out. All right, guys, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, like, comment, and share it with your friends. All right, see you on the next video.